Happy Friday! Today's writing lesson is about punctuation. Now, you know that I am grading you on punctuation. That's one of the things we talked about when I showed you this rubric that I use for grading. One of the things on this rubric says spacing and punctuation, and the best that you can do is to correctly use punctuation on every single sentence in your story. Every sentence needs to tell where the sentence ends, right? So we usually put a period, a little dot, right there at the end. You can make your punctuation even more interesting if you want, and that helps your reader to know how they should read the sentence that you just wrote. You've seen these symbols before. I have a poster that says, "Make it interesting." I have no idea why there's a black box around here, but there is. So this is an exclamation mark, and it shows that your voice should go up. It's showing excitement. The next one shows a period. It says, "Voice drops, makes a statement." So a statement would just be you are telling someone something. You're not doing it in an excited way. You're not doing it in a questioning way. You are just telling someone a statement. A question mark, of course, shows where there is a question. So your voice goes up again, but in a different way than it would if you were excited and showing an exclamation point at the end. It says, "Voice goes up and pauses, asks a question." Now, the cool thing that we can add to our books that maybe you haven't thought of before is small words and big words. I'm going to show you some examples of that in a book that I have here in just a second. So it says for small words, we should read it quietly. For big words, we should read it loudly. Here's some examples from the Easter Bunny's Assistant of all kinds of punctuation and types of writing. Here we see just a regular sentence. The words are just written regularly, but then we get a big word written in all capital letters, which means we should read it in a more bold way. Today we will show you how to make beautiful Easter eggs, right? So when I read that word, my voice gets really big and it kind of emphasizes that word. You can do that in your story too. All you have to do is make your letters a little bit thicker and a little bit, and you can use all capital letters too if you want, and that shows your reader to make their voice bigger. Here we see it again. I'm so excited. We've got an exclamation point. We've got big, thick letters. That lets your reader know to read it in an excited way. Here we have a question mark. So when we read this sentence, we say, skunk, what is that smell? And my voice does a questioning tone, right? And then we see the big letters. He says, please try to control yourself. Here we see big, thick letters again. So this author chooses to write those a lot. And this one shows way bigger letters than anywhere else in the story. And we see an exclamation point, and they're in all capital letters. So that shows that when I read this part, I should use Skunk's voice really, really, really big and read the word exciting, right? I like how this part is written because it shows that the rabbit is saying, skunk. He's showing a gross face. We know something gross is happening here. And then these letters are taller. They're not capital letters and they're not thick, but they are taller, which means that this response that skunk gives, it's pretty small. I have to read that in a small way. So on these 2 pages, I would read, skunk, and he would say, sorry, in a small way, because he feels bad about what he did, right? He's being stinky. All right, I just wanted to point out some things that you could use in your writing. Remember, every sentence has to have punctuation. Most of your sentences will probably just have a period, and that's fine. But if you want to make your writing a little bit more interesting, or maybe have your characters saying things to each other in an interesting way, you can use an exclamation point, a question mark, big words, and small words to get that point across. You just don't want to end every sentence or most of your sentences in your story with an exclamation point, because then it kind of stops losing the excited effect that it should have. We only use an exclamation point every so often just so that it keeps that excitement that we want it to show. All right, see if you can put interesting punctuation or big words or small words somewhere in your story today.